Hey there, fourth grade. We are going to be getting started today on page 61 in your math books. This is going to be lesson 2.7. We are going to be focusing on subtracting across zero. So go ahead, grab your math book. We are going to be using that. You're also going to need to go ahead and grab a whiteboard or a piece of paper, whichever you've got with you. So that way we can be writing down some problems. We're going to be practicing on our whiteboards a little bit before we get over to the guided practice and independent practice today. But I'm going to go ahead and read you our I can statement is, I can use the standard algorithm to subtract from numbers with zero. All right, that's what our focus is. So what do we do when there are zeros that we need to subtract across? And that's what our focus will be for today's lesson. So would you go ahead and, like I said, open up to page 61. I'm actually going to set this off to the side just for right now. And then I'm going to grab my whiteboard. I hope you've got one as well as we get started on doing some subtraction. So we're going to go ahead and just do a warm-up one real quick. So would you please write this down with me? I'm going to have 3,249, and we're going to subtract 1,172. All right, so go ahead and write that down. If you haven't written it down, pause the video, get it there, and then we're going to walk through this together. So if I'm starting in this problem, we always want to start with our smallest place value. All right, so I'm going to come all the way over to my ones place right over here, and I see I've got 9 minus 2. And when I'm doing subtraction, I always start on top, and I have to subtract going down. So 9 minus 2, well, 9 is larger than 2, so this I can just solve. So 9, count back 2 times. So 9, 8, and then 7. So I'm going to go ahead and put my 7 right there for us. I go over to my tens place next, and I have 4 minus 7. And my top number is smaller than the bottom, so I can't do it. So what do I need to do? Well, I need to go next door and regroup. So I started the 4, I go over. I'm going to take 1 away from there. This is a 1 from here. So 2 minus 1 gives me 1 left. And that 1 comes over to the place value before. All right, so my 4 becomes 14 because that place value came over and it's right there. Well, now I have 14 minus 7. Hey, that's a doubles fact. 14 minus 7 is 7. That's why it's so important to know those doubles facts, right? Now that I've done that, I can go to my hundreds place and I can say 1 minus 1. Well, 1 minus 1 is 0. And then my last place value is the thousands. 3 minus 1. Well, 3 take away 1 is 2. So my answer here is 2,077. And we're going to be focusing today on what this looks like right here. So I went next door. I was in the tens place, and I took away one of those hundreds to make this, right? And so that's what we're going to say today is, well, what do we do when we have some problems when we're regrouping and we go next door and there's nothing there? And that's what it means to subtract across zeros. So go ahead and erase your board with me. And we're going to go ahead and get started on our first problem and what it looks like to subtract across zeros. So when we subtract across zeros, that means that we're going to have a number. And go ahead and, again, once you've erased your board or you've got it, if you're using a piece of paper, that's fine. Just get a space where we can do some writing. So we're going to start with the number 6,000. All right, so 6,000. And what happens if I want to take away a number, something like 4,678? All right, so there's our problem right here. Okay, I don't really like that glare. I'm going to turn. Hey, that's a little bit better. There we go. All right, so I've got 6,000, and I want to take away 4,678. Well, just like the problem before, I'm going to start in my smallest place value. And my smallest place value is all the way over here, and it's my ones place, right? If I have 0, can I take 8 away? Well, no, right? If I need to take away, I've got to have something there. So what do I need to do? Well, I need to go next door and regroup. But when I go there, is there anything that I can take from? No, is the answer. There's a 0 there also, right? So I'll go next door again. And this is what we do when we subtract across zeros. I keep going next door until I can find a place value that has a number that I can take from. So there is nothing in the tens. I go next door to the hundreds. It's another 0. So I've got to go one more, and perfect. I can take away from here, right? I'm going to take 1 away from my 6, and now it becomes a 5. Well, that 1 is going to come over here and take this 0 and turn it into a 10, right? It turns it into a 10. Remember, that 1 that we took was 1,000. So this is saying I've got 10 hundreds, right? It's a little bit complicated, but that's what it actually means. Well, my 0 here still needs something. So I'm actually going to take from this 10 that I just made, I'm going to take 1 away from there. So this becomes a 9, and now this becomes a 10. The whole point is I'm trying to get all the way back to the original 0 to have something. And take a look here. I still have a 0 there, so I've got to borrow 1. I've got to regroup from here. So I'll take that 10 and turn it into a 9. And that 1 that was there is going to come over here to become a 10 right there. Now that I've done that, now I can subtract my ones place, right? 10 minus 8. Well, I can do that. If I start at 10, I can start at 10 and count back 8 times. I'm left with 2. Now my next one. I turned my 0 into a 10. I had to take 1 away from there. So now it's a 9, which is why I'm always crossing off whatever I've already used. So I've got 9 minus 7. Well, 9 minus 7 is also a 2. Oh, look at that. When I go over to my hundreds place, I've got 9 minus 6. And 9 minus 6 is going to give me a 3. And my last one's my thousands place. 5 minus 4 is 1. So my answer here is 1,322. I couldn't go next door and take anything from here. I couldn't go next door and take anything from here. So I had to subtract across all of these zeros until I could find a place value that I could take something from. All right, well, let's go ahead and erase this. All right. And let's take a look at number 3. And this will be in your book. All right. So in your book, and I'm going to go ahead and put away my whiteboard for now. And I'm going to go ahead and zoom in for us. But we're going to check out number 3. So let me zoom in. Woo, there we go. All right. So here is number 3. Number 3 is going to be 6,000 minus 1,773. Goodness gracious. There we go. All right. I'm going to start in my ones place. I've got 0 minus 3. If I have 0, can I take 3 away? Well, the answer is no, I can't. So I got to go next door and look at, there's another 0 there. I can't take anything. So I go next door again. A 0 again. I go next door again. Hey, it's a 6, just like our first problem. So as I'm doing this right now, I hope you're following along with me in your math book. And again, we're on page 63. If you have not got there, let me put that on here, page 63. Sorry for not putting it up there a little earlier. If you're not there, pause right now because I want you to follow along with me while I solve this problem. So I cross off my 6 and it turns into a 5, right? I took 1 away from the 6 and now it's a 5. Well, that 1 goes next door to make that a 10. And you notice how very small I'm writing. If you're going, you know what, Mr. Campbell, that is just too small for me to be able to do. My numbers are too big. Write it on a whiteboard. Write it on a piece of paper somewhere else that you can have a little bit more space. That's okay to do because there is a lot here. Well, this 0, I still can't use it. So I got to take 1 away from here. My 10, I'm going to cross off, and that becomes a 9. This 0 becomes a 10 because I added that 1 to the front of it, just like when we regroup. And now I can do the same thing. I can take 1 away from here. So 10 minus 1 is 9. And now this becomes a 10 in my ones place. 10 minus 3. Sorry, that keeps auto-focusing, so it's getting kind of crazy. 10 minus 3 is going to be 7. 9 minus 7 is 2. 9 minus 7 is 2. And then in my thousands place, 5 minus 1 is 4. So my final answer here would be 4,227. Well, if you take a look at number 4, we're going to come over to number 4. Number 4 is not like the other one. This was 6,000. It had lots of zeros. Here I've got 231,086. Well, there's a 0 there. All right. And then I'm going to take away 172,863. So even though there's a 0 there, I don't have to do all that I was doing before. I'm just going to start off, and when I get to that 0, I'll need to find a place value that I can use. So I'll start in the ones place. 6 minus 3. Well, if I have 6 and I take away 3, 6, and then I've got 5, 4, 3. That's a doubles fact. 6 minus 3. I could do that because the top number was larger than the bottom number, so I can subtract them. When I go to my tens place, I've got 8 minus 6. 8 minus 6. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. And again, the 8 is larger than the 6, so I can solve it. When I get to my hundreds place, I've got 0 minus 8. Well, the 0 is small, and I've got to take 8 away. I can't do that. So what do I need to do? Well, I need to go next door, and I need to take 1 away from here. Uh-oh. If I had 1 and I took 1 away, well, now I've got 0 left there. And then I can put that 1 over here to turn it into a 10. 10 minus 8 is 2. When I go to my thousands place, 0 minus 2, oh no, same problem. I've got a 0 again. So I got to come next door and take 1 away from my 3. That becomes a 2, and this becomes a 10. 10 minus 2 is 8. In my 10,000s, it gets a little messy here, which is why we got to be really careful to try to keep everything organized. I've got 2 minus 7, which I can't do that. So this becomes a 1. This becomes 12. 12 minus 7. 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. And then 1 minus 1 is 0. So my answer here would be 58,223. All right, what I'm going to ask for you to do right now is pause your video and answer number 5 and number 6 on your own. All right, I want you to try number 5 and number 6 on your own right now. Pause the video. You might want to rewrite them on a whiteboard. You might want to just use here, whichever is more comfortable for you. Do those two and then check your work. So pause the video. All right, you should have paused the video. We're going to go over these two right now. So for number 5, I'm going to start in my ones place. I've got 0 minus 5. Well, I can't do that. So I'm going to go next door and take 1 away from here. Well, if it was a 1 and I take 1 away, I'm now left with 0. But that 1 right there comes over to the ones place and turns it into a 10. 10 minus 5 is a doubles fact, so that's going to be 5. In my tens place, 0 minus 4. Well, if I have 0 minus 4, I can't do that, so I got to go next door and regroup. So I take 1 away from there, and now my tens place becomes a 10. 10 minus 4. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. All right, in my hundreds place, I've got 7 minus 6. Hey, the top number is larger, so I don't need to regroup. 7 minus 6 is 1. In my thousands, 6 minus 2. 6, 7, sorry, backwards. 6, 5, 4. And then in my 10,000s place, I've got 7 minus 2. 7, 6, 5. So my answer is 54,165. Now I'm going to go ahead and take number 6. I'm actually going to rewrite it on my whiteboard. So I've got a little bit more space over here. So I'm going to move this back. Sorry, it's going to get a little bumpy. There we go. All right. And I'm going to turn off my lights. There we go. All right. So for number 6, all right, I've got 90,304. And when I write it, I try to give it a little bit of space just so it's nice and easy to read. And I'm going to minus. I'm going to start my ones place when I rewrite this. So I make sure everything lines up. And when I say lines up, I mean each place value is right underneath the place value above it. All right. So when I start here, I've got 4 minus 7. Well, the top number is smaller, so I can't do it. I got to go next door, but there is nothing there. So what do? Well, I go next door again, and hey, there's something there. So I'm going to cross this off and take one of those away. 3 minus 1 is 2. That 1 comes over and turns this into a 10. Now when I do 4 minus 7, I can regroup from that 10. There's something to borrow, take away from it. So now I have 14. 14 minus 7 is a doubles fact. So it's 7. In my tens place, 9 minus 3, 9, 8, 7, 6. In my hundreds place, all right, in my hundreds place, I've got 2 minus 1. The 2 is larger than the 1, so I can just do it. Easy enough. In my thousands place, 0 minus 1. If I have a 0, I can't do it. So I got to go next door and take 1 away from my 9, which turns it into an 8. Now I have 10. 10 minus 1 is going to give me a 9. And then in my 10,000s, 8 minus 5 is 3. So for number 6, we should have had 39,167. All right. We're going to go ahead and check out another one. And this is going to be number 7. And so I'm going to leave it right here for you. I want you to do this either on your whiteboard or on your piece of paper, whatever you're working with, because we're going to go ahead and rewrite it. So I start with my first number. So I'm putting 101,001. And I'm subtracting 8,915. This is why it's important to make sure that all of my place values line up to make sure I can solve it, all right? So I took this horizontal one and I stacked up all of my place values so I could solve it. Now that I've done that, I've got 1 minus 5. Well, I can't do that. So I've got to go next door. There's nothing there. I go next door. There's nothing there. I go next door. Hey, there's a 1. So I'm going to take 1 away from it, which turns that into a 10. And I took 1 away, so it's a 0. Well, my 0 here needs to take 1 from there. So 10 turns into a 9. 0 turns into a 10. All right, this is the same thing we've been doing. Now my 1 has something to take from. So I take 1 away from there. This turns into 11. 11 minus 5 is 6. 9 minus 1, hey, it's larger on top, is going to be 8. 9 minus 9 is 0. Put in my comma. And now I have 0 minus 8. Well, I can't do that. And when I go next door, there's nothing to take from. But when I go next door again, there is. So my 1 here becomes a 0. My 0 becomes a 10. And now, when I do 0 minus 8, I have something to take from. Now I can finish this problem. 10 minus 8 equals 2. 9 minus nothing equals 9. And 0 minus 0 is 0. So our answer would be 92,086. All right. I want you to go ahead and pause the video, do number 8, and then push play when you have finished it up, and we'll go over that one next. All right, here is number 8. Hopefully you were able to solve that one. I already rewrote it, lining up all of my place values. So here I go. So I've got 0 minus 1. I can't do that, so I got to go next door to regroup. And that becomes a 10. 10 minus 1 is 9. 4 minus 6, I can't do that, so I go next door, but there's nothing there. So I go next door again. My 9, I can take 1 away to become an 8. My 0 becomes a 10. And now my 4 has something to take from. So I'm going to take that and turn it into a 14. 14 minus 6 is 8. 9 minus 4, I can solve that one. It's 5. And then 8 minus 3 is 5. So our final answer, 5,589. All right, that is all that we've got for today. Your independent practice is right down here at the bottom. Your teacher should have told you if you're doing all of them or if you're doing some of them, which ones to work on. Follow these same steps each time. Just make sure that we keep going across those zeros until we find a place value that has a number that we can take from. Thanks so much for working hard with me today, 4th grade. I'll see you guys next time. Have a good day.